just as we talk about this bill and this overall issue, I think it's important because I know the controversy, and we've had a lot of discussion on the floor about the overarching issue, and our debate has focused on the specifics. I think it's very important to set the stage as to what's going on as it relates to illegal immigration in the country, and to understand why this program that we're getting rid of is so important to keep. According to Pew Research, not a right-wing source by any stretch of the imagination, very reputable, nonpartisan source, by the end of 2023, the United States had reached an all-time high of 14 million illegal immigrants that had come. And the year 2024, we saw millions cross the border. We don't know how many, but it was more than a few 100,000 for sure. So that number is probably by the end of 2024 well over 15, 16 million illegal, undocumented immigrants in the country. And so it's in that, and that's the highest it's ever been. I think we have to have that context to understand what's going on. And we had an election where the securing of the border was a top issue. Now, since the election, the border has been secured. There's very few illegal crossings. We were told all of 2024 we had to pass a bill and had to do all this stuff to secure the border. Nope, it just took a change of administration that wanted to secure the border. The border is largely secure on the southern border. And we know not all illegal immigrants come that way. There's folks who overstay visas. There's the Canadian border. There's other places. But generally speaking, the pipeline has been largely shut off. But we still have millions upon millions of people who, the word undocumented, which was, I think, created to get away from the word illegal. I think illegal is fine. You are breaking the law being here illegally. But undocumented means we don't know who you are. We don't know what your background is many times. And that's scary when there's no vetting process. So we have 15, 16 million people as of the end of 2024, and I think that's being conservative, that are here. And we don't generally know who you are, what your background is. You're here illegally breaking the law. So we start there. And I found some really interesting quotes about the issue of illegal immigration that I thought I'd share with the body. Because there seems to be this hostility to just enforcing the law. We must create a system that converts the current flow of primarily low-skilled illegal immigrants into the United States into a more manageable and controlled flow of legal immigrants who can be absorbed by our economy. Let me elaborate. The first of these 7 principles is that illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple. Until the American people are convinced that we will stop future flows of illegal immigration, and good news, we're on our way to doing that pretty successfully, we will make no progress on dealing with the millions of illegal immigrants who are here now and on rationalizing our system of legal immigration, which I think we all agree with. We want to rationalize that system. That was Senator Chuck Schumer in 2009. I don't know that I've ever quoted Senator Chuck Schumer approvingly, but he's right. Here's another good one. Open borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal. That's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States. It would make everybody in America poorer. You're doing away with the concept of a nation state, and I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that. If you believe in a nation state or in a country called the United States or the United Kingdom or Denmark or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people. You think we should open the border and bring in lots of low-wage workers, or do you think we should try to get jobs for those American kids that are here? I think from a moral responsibility, we've got to work with the rest of the world to address the problems of poverty, but you don't do that by making people in the United States even poorer. That was another man I've never quoted favorably on this floor, Senator Bernie Sanders in 2015. So there's been consensus on the issue of stopping illegal immigration with the recognition that for most people, they're like, hey, we got to figure out something about people who've been here a long time. But we can't just have millions and millions of illegal, undocumented people in the United States. It is bad for workers. We've seen it. It's bad for communities. Even if you believe almost none of those illegal immigrants are criminal actors, which I got news for you, there's a lot of them that are, but there's a lot that aren't. But It taxes our infrastructure, our schools, our hospitals. And there's, with undocumented people coming from not just right south of the border, as sort of the stereotype that gets played out, but people coming from Eastern Europe that came through the southern border, and from Kazakhstan and from Uzbekistan, and people we don't know who they are. That's not good. So what's happening now is very much a necessary thing to really get serious about enforcing our immigration laws. Let's be clear now. Let's go to this bill now. So the backlash against different things that have happened is why we're here on this bill today. Because this policy of 287G has been working fine in this state for years and years. It's actually been very successful at calmly, rationally, and in a documented, there's that word, documented way, processing people who are arrested in a normal course of action and come into a county jail or county facility. And then we find out, hey, you're here illegally, or you're wanted. You're wanted on a detainer. Many times it could be a dangerous criminal or a criminal, somebody who needs to be deported for sure, no matter how you feel about the overall issue of illegal immigration. And they're being processed in a way that is calm, rational, documented. So everybody's concerned about not having chaos in the streets. And let's be clear, you can be mad that ICE is putting a lot of boots on the ground somewhere, but it's also true that there's a lot of chaos being fomented by bad actors who want to oppose any kind of deportations. Not just, oh, we're upset about a few things that have happened, some mistakes that happen, because government entities always make mistakes. Although the percentage of mistakes under this current administration is actually less than it was under the previous Democratic administration that tried to enforce the law, President Obama. They actually had a few more mistakes about accidentally arresting someone who's a citizen and having to release them. In both cases, there are a few times that it happens, but in most cases, they're getting the people they're supposed to be getting. So I would say that if you want more boots on the ground and you want more ICE operations active in Maryland, then you should vote for this bill. If you don't want more active, visible, intense ICE operations, you should vote against this bill. And that's not a threat. They have to do their job. And if they can't work through documented systems, they're going to have to bring more people in to get the truly dangerous people. And when they go find the dangerous person in a community, and they happen to be living with other people who maybe are not convicted, hardened criminals, but are here illegally, they're going to get them too. They are. So if you don't want that to happen, you should vote against this bill. If you want less transparency, less documentation, and more room for discrimination in individual county law enforcement places, I'm not going to accuse anyone that they would purposely discriminate. But if you want it left up more to chance and left open to more potential lawsuits for why did you ask about this guy's immigration status and not this gal's, then you should vote for this bill. If you think we should probably not do that, you should vote against the bill, like I am, and like many of us are. And if you're okay with more violent criminals potentially slipping through the cracks because there's confusion and restriction on cooperating in a calm, rational, documented way with federal law enforcement, because it will happen. We've seen it happen in this state with counties that did not cooperate, and now we have people who died, our citizens, our residents who died, young women who died. If you want that, if you're okay with more criminals potentially slipping through the cracks, then vote for this bill. But if you think we ought to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, look, nationally, there's been some movement to say, hey, let's de-escalate some tensions. I give the president and Governor Walz communicated with each other. I thought that was a good thing. Let's give that a chance to work. If you want more ICE operations, more boots on the ground, more opportunity for a local law enforcement person to just get to pick and choose who they're going to ask about, if you want less transparency, less documentation, then you should vote yes for this bill. I'm voting no because I don't think those things would be good. Thank you, Mr. President.